What's going on, guys? So in this video, what I'm going to do is cover building credit, but more specifically, setting your credit profile up to have a solid credit mix. Now, this video isn't going to be an advanced video about how to start getting credit cards with rewards points and credit card tiers. But what I will say at the beginning of this video, so I'm intentional, is you have two types of primary trade lines. You have revolving lines and you have installment lines, okay? And at the onset, I want to make it very, very clear that in order to have what FICO considers a solid foundation credit mix, you want to have 5 primary revolving trade lines and 3 primary installment trade lines. And primary trade lines, all they mean is you are the responsible party for that line or installment credit. And it's your job to make sure you pay those bills on time. So essentially, you want to have 5 revolving, 3 installment, and that's going to be the foundation for a good credit mix. Now, when it comes to the revolving lines of credit, I'll spend a little bit of time here, but this is not going to be too long of a video because I've already dropped the jewel for you. Is when it comes to credit cards, you have, the way I look at it, 6 tiers of cards. You have tier 1 cards and you have tier 6 cards. A tier 1 is really typically not even a credit card. It's like a revolving line of credit with a specific vendor, but they're extending a line of credit to you in your name so that way you can start building up that credibility. So you can't go from tier 1 to tier 6. You've got to go through the process. So in order for that particular part of your FICO score to be efficient, you want to make sure you have that credit mix of 5 revolving and 6 installment. And you know what? Here's the other piece of jewels I'm going to give you guys now that I'm kind of flowing with this. So I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say, especially as it relates to your credit, because your credit is financial leverage, guys. That's really all it is. It's the American way. So there's 2 things that really separates the financial system in America from other systems. It's the credit system and it's the tax system. We won't make this about taxes, but I'm going to keep it on credit. And the reason why I'm going down this whole credit thing is because if you don't come from trust fund money, if your parents didn't come from money and they didn't give you money, then the next best thing is to be able to go out and get money to purchase real assets. The most efficient way to get money from the bank, you can get money in several different places, let me say that. But if you're looking to get what I call cheap money, you want to go get it from the banks. And in order to qualify for money, they're going to look at your credit report, okay? And your credit report has a lot to do with how much money you qualify for coupled with your income. But to be simple here, your credit score can range between 300 at the lowest, 850 at 850 at the highest. So that means that's 550 points available. So I'm going to give you guys like the mathematical equation to a 700 credit score right now. I know we started talking about credit mix, but credit mix is so important to this mathematical equation. So there's 5 parts. So number 1 is payment history. That's 35% of your score. It's roughly 192.5 points of the 550. Revolving credit. That's 165 points, it's 30%. Credit mix, okay? That's 55 points, that's 10%. New credit, that's 55 points. That's like establishing new accounts. And then credit age, that's 15%, that's 82.5 points. So you're like, man, Kenny, you throwing out all these numbers, man. What are you saying, bro? Like, what does all this stuff mean to me in this whole credit mix? Well, I'm gonna break it down. Remember, your credit score at the lowest can be 300. So that means you're not taking advantage of any other points available to you. So when it comes to improving your credit or maximizing credit, it's really about getting those negatives removed, but just maximizing each one of those categories in the most efficient way. That being said, when you look at the first one, which is payment history, that's worth 192.5 points. So simply paying your bills on time is going to be worth 192.5 points. That's why it's so important for you to have a cash flow control system. So what's 192 plus 300? Well, that puts us at, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I think that's 192 plus 300, that's 492, 400, yeah, 492. Then you have the revolving credit. That's worth 30%. So here's where those 5 revolving lines of credit come into play. So when you have 5 revolving lines of credit, that's going to allow you to maximize all the points in that category. So that's worth 165 points. So 165 plus 192 is 357.5 points. So 357.5 points is going to be what you include. They just fucked up my whole goddamn video. Can you cut that out? All right, so what was I saying? I wanted to hold true to it because I know it was flowing. We'll keep going. So when you take that 192 plus 165, that gets you 357, give or take, something like that. My math could be off. So when you take that coupled with the 55 points for the proper credit mix, that's going to be 392. That's going to be 165 plus 192 plus 55. All of that equals 412.5. That's the point. So when you take 412.5 plus the original 300, that's how you mathematically get a 700 credit score. That's the blueprint. So with the 35%, it's making sure that you got those negative items removed from your credit report. You keep paying your bills on time. For that 30%, making sure you have the proper amount of revolving credit and you pay down those balances. On a previous video, I talked about the statement date versus the due date, understanding the difference there. And then I said the last part, which is the 55 points, which is making sure I have 5 revolving, 3 installment, all of that combined, 412.5, 412.5 plus 300, 712. That's the mathematical way you get a 700 credit score with the proper credit mix. And then now you can start establishing the other 2 categories of credit and going and applying for other credit and building from there. But that's how you do it. That's how you have a proper credit mix. So if you want to learn more about how to get into the weeds of building your credit and fixing your credit and really just getting the roadmap to where you can go out, improve your credit, position your credit file, get the money from the banks, go buy hard assets, register for my training. 95% of people fail to do when it comes to fixing your credit, and I'm going to break it all down. I'll see you in the next video.